Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Let me just, hang on. Whew. Well, that was fun. Hey, theater fans, welcome back to the only Broadway show that you didn't know wasn't a Broadway show. The show where I tell you what stuff I collected that has to do with video games, and quite possibly is video games. Alright, cool. Now that we're acquainted with each other, we're talking about June 2019, where I actually collected a ton of stuff. Mostly because I found a really cool spot that sells video games really cheaply. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to give in and tell you what that place is. So, competitors, eat your hearts out. But let's start. We can start with something simple, because I did a lot of yard sailing in June, as I do pretty much every month, and Jackie came with me as well. One of the first things that we found this past June was actually similar to something that we found in May. In May I found UDraw Studio Instant Artist and the game tablet, the drawing tablet, for Xbox 360. And in June, I found regular UDraw Studio and the drawing tablet for Wii. So, yeah, I guess a lot of people were really into this sort of thing. It's uncanny that I would find two similar games for two different consoles in 2 months right next to each other. So that was pretty cool. This gaping hole here is for the Wii remote, and there's a stylus in the back, which I thought was pretty cool. It's designed a little differently than the way the Xbox 360 one is designed, and there's even a little well here to put your little stylus in when you're not using it, so that it doesn't have to stay in the back like that. I think that's pretty cool. The game is complete. It has everything in it, and the disc is in good condition. I was really happy to pick these up, and Jackie was too. She questioned how on earth I could have possibly found two similar products right next to each other May and June. Both the game and the tablet. Unfortunately, I didn't get the box or the instructions for the tablet like I did with the 360 version, but hey, you know, you win some, you lose some. In this case, I won some for the Wii. Yay. I only picked up one N64 game in all of June, and it's because, well, I traded something into the video game trading post in Levittown. I actually went yard sailing, and I found some stuff that I traded in, and I decided to grab Robotron 64, which I didn't have and I wanted. I actually wanted it ever since the first time that I had seen gameplay footage of it, like 8 years ago. And of course, when you want so many games and you can only buy so many at a time, some have to sit on the back burner. And this was one of those. But I'm glad I finally have it. If you haven't played Robotron 64, I actually really recommend it. This is a spin-off of the arcade title Robotron 2084, which is a twin-stick shooter. One joystick to move, and one joystick to shoot in any direction. It's super awesome. This works the exact same way. I believe you use the control stick on the N64 controller to move, and the C buttons to shoot. So it's not twin stick, but it is still, you know, dual movement, which is awesome. And I'm glad that they were able to bring that to a home console, especially in the 90s when people were slowly forgetting about Robotron 2084. Really glad this is on the N64. It's a great game. But, yeah, there it is. We're going to move right on to the heavy stuff here today because since I said I traded something in to the video game trading post, you might be wondering what that was. Well, I only ever trade in doubles, and with that being said, I also don't show doubles on this show because there's really no reason to unless they're like a label upgrade or a special edition or a different variant. And we're actually going to have a couple of those in this episode. But we went to a yard sale and we actually early birded it by accident. And early birding, in case you're unaware, basically means that the time for the yard sale is listed at a specific time and you show up earlier than that time. I don't like to do that because it's considered rude, although if you do that, you're more likely to get deals that other people are out there trying to get. If you go on time, even on time, like right when it starts, you might still lose out to the people who early birded before you. I don't like to early bird, but we did this one time, and it was an accident, actually. The setup time on their yard sale said that they would be ready by, I think, 10 o'clock, but we showed up around 9:15 because I mistakenly thought that it was a different yard sale, because I use an app to track yard sales around the area. So we stopped by, and we noticed they were still setting up, but I was like, we're already here, and they are outside, and they are setting up, so I'm going to be as polite as I can and just ask if they have any video games. And they did. They had an Atari 2600 complete in the box. Now, I already had this Atari 2600. This is actually not technically the 2600. The name was changed in the 80s. This is the model from the 70s, when it was still called the Atari Video Computer System, as you can see here. And this is the model with 4 switches. There are a lot of models of the Atari 2600. This is the 3rd model that came out, the 4-switch wood grain model. And I already had that. But I really wanted the box and a couple of the games that were included, because he did have a couple games also. So what I ended up trading in was that Atari 2600, and I traded in the games that I already had. But I did keep a couple of the games. So I got the box, which is awesome. Hooray, I finally have the box for this thing. So I can put that down here now. And I got a couple games out of it. So first, let's do the ones that are label upgrades. Like I said, we actually have a couple of those. So I already owned Pac-Man for the 2600, but I got this one from that dude, and I kept this one and got rid of the old one, because the old one had a big sticker on the back that, unfortunately, for better or for worse, I actually couldn't remove. I usually can remove all different types of stickers, but this one was so stubborn it left residue that even Goo Gun couldn't remove. It just must have been really deep-seated in there, and the label was a little shitty. It had some tearing here and some wear away up here. So I decided to keep this one. This label has a few dark spots here from the glue deteriorating and the sun shining through, but there's no residue on the back. The label's in better condition than the old label was, and overall this is just a better condition copy. The same is true of this copy of Asteroids, which I also needed an upgrade for, because my old copy, the label was great, but the end label was fading in the middle here where the center 2 pieces meet, because it's like a clamshell. It has 2 pieces that meet with a seam in the middle, and that goes all the way around to the label. And if you apply pressure here, you can start to see a thin black crease in the label, and once you crease a piece of painted paper, it starts to wear away at that crease. So I decided to get this one that doesn't have that wear and tear, and this looks to be a lot better. You can see a little bit of shading here, but that's just because that's where the serial number is embossed, but I promise it is completely black. I don't know why it shines so much on the camera. It's completely black, I promise. But the game that I got that was new, that I didn't have, that I really want, I actually wanted this game for a while, another one of those back burner games, was Demons to Diamonds for the 2600. And I really like this game. It's actually a 2-player competitive game, and it's a 2-player simultaneous competitive game, which a lot of Atari 2600 games are, but I still love that we had 2-player simultaneous competitive games that early on in video gaming history. I really like that, actually. So, Demons to Diamonds, check this game out. It's super cool. It's kind of like a tug-of-war shooting game. I can't really explain it very well. Very cool, though. Awesome. So yeah, yard sailing is a thing, and so are boxes for games. And I got quite a few boxes this time around, too. We'll talk about them soon. In June, Jackie and I went to visit Jackie's friend George, and Jackie's friends, I should say, George and Sam, who live in New Jersey. And I was super excited to go, and when I got there, I had already met them before, actually, because of, well, knowing Jackie, realistically. But I went to meet them in the city with Jackie once. But this time we were invited up to stay the night for a party that George and Sam were throwing, so we went, and when we were leaving, George was nice enough. Jackie just has such nice friends. He was nice enough to say, hey, you know, I actually have some like games and consoles in my attic that I'm not using. Do you want to just take them? I was like, sure, how much money? And he's like, no, I mean it, just like take them. And he just gave me a bunch of stuff. Two of the things that I got from him were 2 NES consoles, which I didn't need, but I was able to trade them into the trading post for a lot of money in store credit, which I ended up using in July, so you'll see that then. But he gave me a lot of stuff that, I mean, for better or for worse, I didn't need. Or should I say I didn't have, and so I needed. So let's just go through them. First of all, a label variant. I already had this copy of Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt, and this is the copy most people have, because this is the copy that was printed with, you know, more copies. I hope that sentence made sense. This was printed more often than the label variant to this. So this is the second version of Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt, but there was a first version that used to come in the action set for NES and was also sold in stores, and it's this one. And now you can see the difference between the two of them. I won't bother explaining every minute detail, but you can see that they're different. So this is the first one, and this is the second. And now I have them both. George gave me this one. So thank you, George. I don't have to explain what Mario Duck Hunt is, do I? Okay, good. Didn't think so. Let's put that away. He also gave me Rampage for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Rampage is an arcade title where you play as a kaiju, a big monster, trying to destroy the city, a la Godzilla, King Kong, etc. And they ported it to the NES. So there you go, now I have Rampage. I'm surprised I didn't have that before, actually, and even Jackie said she was surprised that I didn't have that because it's a pretty common NES game, but I just didn't. Now I do. And then a whole bunch of Super Nintendo games. So let's start, not really from the top, these aren't in any particular order. NBA All-Star Challenge. It's a basketball game by LJN, so I imagine it's not good, but I needed it, so I'm glad I have it. NHL 94, a hockey game, so unless I'm Canadian, I imagine it's not that good. Madden NFL 94, I'm American, but I still think and imagine that this is not that good. John Madden Football, the very first Madden football game. I imagine it's not that good. And Fighter's History, a fighting game that tried to compete with Street Fighter and the likes of those, and this was published by Data East. I've actually never played it, so unfortunately for this joke, I can't imagine that it's not that good because I've never played it. I don't know anything about it other than that it's a competitor to Street Fighter and other games of that type. But I'll play it eventually, and we'll see for ourselves, and I'll see for myself. And this game will see for itself whether I can imagine whether it's that good. Okay. Cool. Thank you, George. I really appreciate that, especially since you haven't known me very long, and I'm Jackie's brand new boyfriend, and now suddenly you want to give me stuff? Okay, cool. I owe you one. Thanks very much. Remember that time one of Jackie's friends gave me something at that party at George and Sam's house? More than one of Jackie's friends gave me something at that party at George and Sam's house. Jackie's friend Nikki went out yard sailing, and she found something and thought of me, and bought it and brought it to the party to give to me. It's a Sega carrying case for a Sega handheld. This model of carrying case, I'm guessing, was for the Sega Nomad, because the Sega Game Gear has a very distinct carrying case. But it's modeled after the Game Boy case, which was a very popular case that Nintendo released, the soft Game Boy case. I actually have two of them. One from my childhood that I refused to get rid of because I used to take it everywhere, and one that I carry my Nintendo Switch around in because I'm a madman and want to confuse the public. But this, I imagine, is for the Sega Nomad because the Game Gear, again, had its own gigantic carrying case, among a lot of others. But this one takes the design from the Nintendo soft case and makes it Sega. Thank you, Nikki. I was really happy that someone was out yard sailing and they saw something and they thought of me. So thank you, Nikki. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna end up using this. Sometimes I do end up taking my other classic consoles on road trips, like the Game Gear and the PSP and things of that nature. I wouldn't call the PSP a classic handheld, but you know what I mean. So one of these days, I'll take my Game Gear around in this thing, because it's too big to fit in my pocket. Thank you, Sega. can't be one of those collection months without picking up a bunch of sports titles for the PlayStation 1 at a Savers. So let's talk about them, and let's talk about them quickly, because they're sports titles for the PlayStation 1. I imagine they're not that good. It's a hockey game, NHL Face-Off 98, yay. It's a football game, NFL Game Day 98. I guess 98 was a good year for video games and sports. MLB 99, those are almost my initials, except for the L. And Madden 2001. If you remove the add-in, that's almost my first initial, except for the 2001. It's a football game. I'm sorry, if you like sports titles for, video game consoles, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just not a big fan of them, and I think it's hilarious that because of the way sports titles come out every year and the rosters always change, that within months, sometimes weeks, sports titles drop from $60 to less than $5. I think that that's hilarious, and I really, really feel bad for the people who are so hyped to go buy it for $60. Just wait. Just wait. Anyway, here's a bunch of PlayStation 1 sports titles. Thank you, Savers. $8. You know what else I got at Savers? Something good. Cooking Mama for Nintendo DS. And I actually didn't even notice this, because I was too busy looking at the shitty PlayStation 1 sports titles. But Jackie saw this, pulled it out, and went, "Hey, Cooking Mama." And then looked at me and went, "Cooking? How did you miss Cooking Mama?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I'm dumb. Do you have Cooking Mama?" "No, I don't, actually." "Would you like to buy Cooking Mama?" "Yes, Jackie, I would like to buy Cooking Mama, thank you very much." Cooking Mama. Cooking Mama is... how do I describe... Okay, I'm going to read the back of the box. I do this sometimes when I can't describe a game. Let's get cooking, Mama. Now you can learn how to cook on your Nintendo DS. Prepare foods, combine raw ingredients, cook the meal, and present your culinary masterpiece to Mama for your final score. Create 76 real dishes or combine recipes to create more advanced meals. Use the stylus as your master kitchen tool to chop, slice, pan fry, knead, grate, mash, and more. Share recipes with up to 4 other people. Up to 4 other people? Really? You can play with... Up to 4 other people implies that you can play with up to 5 people, but this label right here on the top right says 1 to 4, so what I think they meant was 3 other people and up to 4 people total. So, sorry, that's grammar for you. Cool down hot food by blowing into the Nintendo DS microphone. That's right, that was a thing. So it's a game where you cook recipes and then you present them to the Cooking Mama, who looks like this. And she's very happy that you decided to start cooking. And I'm very happy that I decided to buy this game for only $3 from Savers. It's cooking, Mama. One day when I was going yard sailing, I was having terrible luck and I found nothing. And on my way home, I decided on a whim to stop by the St. Mark's thrift shop here in Islip and see if they had anything. They usually just have a bunch of shovelware for the last generation consoles like the PS3 and Xbox 360 and the Wii. But this time they actually did have one game that I have been wanting again for a while, and finally decided to pick it up, mostly because it was there and it was the only good thing available. It's L.A. Noire for Xbox 360. If you don't know anything about L.A. Noire, it is a neo-noir detective action-adventure video game that takes place in 1947 Los Angeles, California. And the whole thing about the game, the thing that made it popular when it came out, was that the landscape, the LA that's represented in this game, was recreated as closely and as accurately as it could have been to real 1947 LA, which is super cool. It also used a lot of facial recognition technology to accurately represent facial expressions on character models in this game so that you could discern from the way people's faces contort whether or not they were lying to you. I thought that that was really cool, and when I watched the Super Beard Brothers play this game all the way through, which that playthrough has not a dull moment in it, by the way, I recommend it. I was inspired to pick this game up. When it first came out, I was like, okay, whatever. It's just another action-adventure, weird, like, super realistic game. But then I watched the playthrough, and I saw just how fun it actually is. So I'm going to end up playing this and having a blast, probably with Jackie, because this game is way more fun when you have more people involved. Trust me. It just is. But yeah, L.A. Noire. Pick this game up, try it out. I usually don't recommend games that aren't for Nintendo, Sony, Atari, or Sega consoles, because I'm not a big fan of the Microsoft consoles. But yeah, dude, check this out. It's a great game. Have a lot of fun with it, because I certainly will. And if I'm gonna have fun with a video game, you know it's probably a good game. Have fun. When I do my pickup videos, I always include everything that I buy, even if it wasn't really much of a find, so much as I walked into a store and purchased it. And I'm not talking about secondhand stores, I mean regular-ass retail. I went to Target, because, well, I needed to pick some stuff up. Because some great games came out recently as far as June was concerned, that I needed to get. And thanks to my mom, I was able to get Super Mario Maker 2, and thanks to Jackie, I was able to get Yoshi's Crafted World. I don't know why Jackie decided she wanted to buy this for me. I didn't ask her to. She just did. And my mom knew that I wanted this game a lot, and of course I really want to write a review about this game for Game Cola, so of course it's necessary I own it. Mom recognized that and she purchased it for me. So thank you, Mom. Thank you, Jackie. I can't say too much about these games without spoiling them. For anybody who hasn't played them yet, play both of these games. This one's fantastic, and this one will blow your brains off in a good way. A good way. It'll rock the stripes right out of your socks. But yeah, 2 Nintendo Switch games in 1 month, making my collection of Switch games that much bigger. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Jackie. Okay, 3 things, and then we move on to all of that other stuff over there, which I got from that secret store that I keep alluding to in my articles and in this video at the beginning, because it's good. So, in June, we did a lot of yard sailing, and I don't often come across handheld games at yard sales. I don't know why, I just often don't. But this time I did. One woman was selling some Game Boy Color games, and even though I didn't really need these two too badly, I didn't have them, so rather get them now than later. I got Beauty and the Beast, a board game adventure? What? What? I don't know anything about this game, and I probably won't, because what? But a game that I used to own when I was a kid, that I got rid of for some reason, and now I have it again. So I was actually happy to find this one. It's Scooby-Doo Classic Creep Capers, and I really like this game. How do I explain it? It's a detective game, like, it's Scooby-Doo. It's a mystery-solving game. It's not really action-oriented. It's more like adventure, and there's some stealth involved, and it's like pseudo top-down. It's sort of like a Zelda, but not really. I don't know how to explain it, but it's one of the only Scooby-Doo games out there, believe it or not, where you can play as every member of Mystery Inc., not just Shaggy and Scooby. I don't know why that was a thing that Scooby-Doo video games did, but you can play as everyone. Fred, Velma, and Daphne, and that's good because there are a lot of moments in this game where Fred will say, let's split up, like he does in the shows, and you have to obey that, and both parties you control, and when you split up, you can split up even further because you can separately control the characters too. It's awesome. I like this game a lot, and I recommend it, especially if you like Scooby-Doo. But then we went to this one yard sale that was selling some DS games, and I asked about them, and they were like, she said $2 a piece, but they were just shitty shovelware titles. I asked if she would do $1 a piece, and I'd just buy all of them. Why not? And she said, no, I have to do $2 a piece. And I said, alright, then I have to not buy them from you. Sorry, I'm not going to pay double what I want to pay. Sorry, that's not going to happen. But I was sifting around in a random bin of camera equipment, and I came across a Game Boy Advance game, Disney Princess. I asked her if she would take a quarter for me, and she said, "Oh, you can just have that, I don't care." So I just got it for free. Whatever, it's probably only worth free anyway. So, yeah, Disney Princess for Game Boy Advance. Cool jeans. I guess. I don't know anything about this game. I don't have any problems with the Disney princesses. I just imagine that this game probably wasn't very well made, unfortunately. A lot of games that were marketed toward girls, especially little girls, were poorly made cash grabs that aren't actually engaging, and unfortunately, a lot of little girls had to deal with that if they were into video games, especially if they had family members who were like, "Well, I mean, she has a Game Boy. Maybe we can buy her some sort of game." And of course they go for this one because she's a girl, of course she'll like it. Whatever. Man, some girls' games were pretty good growing up. I liked Barbie for Super Nintendo, personally. But yeah, Disney Princess for Game Boy Advance. Thank you, lady who gave this to me for free. I'm sorry I didn't buy your Nintendo DS games. Psych! I'm not sorry. You wanted too much. It's time. It's time to talk about the biggin. I found a place on Long Island that sells retro video games. Not at retail, not at half retail, but at a quarter of retail price. And every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, everything in the store is 50% off. So at an eighth of retail price, I've been finding video games June, July. It's August as I'm making this video, and I haven't gone there yet this August, but I'm sure I will. Let's talk about Asset Recovery Liquidators in Patchogue. I was first alerted to this store because Jackie and I went yard sailing in May, and we actually met somebody else who was yard sailing for the same purpose as us. And we got to talking about collecting and different YouTubers we watch and different things we're looking for, and this man mentioned Asset Recovery. I put it in the back of my mind, and when I remembered it, I wrote it down. And he showed us pictures of things that he had gotten for chump change. He got an NES controller for $2. He found an Intellivision there for only $15. So yeah, it was well worth checking out. We were going to go that day, but Jackie and I were tired at the end of our day and we decided not to. We put it off until June. Well, now we're talking about June. Here is everything that I got at Asset Recovery Liquidators, and I will tell you how much I paid for each thing. Let's go. First up, I made 2 trips in June to Asset Recovery because I had to. So we'll cover the first trip first. The first trip, I got a blue Game Boy Pocket. It was a Saturday. I only go on weekends because 50% off everything, right? I got this for $12. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Some things aren't always a quarter of the price, but most things are. So this was listed at $25, and after the 50% off, it was $12.50, but I just got charged $12 for it. I don't know why, but yeah, it works. It has a little bit of a scratch here on the screen. You can see it right there on the right side of the screen. But when you're playing, it's not noticeable, and it's in great condition. It was a little dirty, but of course I can clean it, so yeah. It even had the battery door. So of course I had to buy it. You never find these with the battery door. So yeah, $12, blue Game Boy Pocket. Super happy about that. I already had a red Game Boy Pocket, so now I have 2. And we're gonna keep collecting Game Boy Pockets until I have all of them. Insert the name of any console here. Game Boy Pocket. Any console. Take that place. That's what I do. Let's move on. Columns for Sega Game Gear. $1. I had columns for Genesis, columns 3 for Genesis. I have super columns for Game Gear, but I never had the original columns for Game Gear. So here it is, columns for Game Gear. I've talked about columns before on this show because I got it at a convention once while the show was going on for Genesis. But it's a Tetris competitor. It's not like Tetris in any way. It's a match 3 puzzle game. But it's very popular among Sega enthusiasts because they didn't get Tetris. At the time, Tetris was owned by Nintendo. So, columns. Pretty good, actually. Pretty good competitor to Tetris, but Tetris is more fun, in my opinion, and the opinion of many. So yeah, columns. $1. Thank you, Asset Recovery. 3 Intellivision games. 2 of them complete in the box. Let's start with the one that's not. Utopia for Intellivision. This is one of the earliest known God games, where you are the god of a civilization and you can control what happens. Yeah, it's the God game, Utopia. I don't know if it's the first one, but it's one of the very earliest God games. And it's super cool, it's super fun. Next up, Reversi. Most people know Reversi as Othello. It's the game with the black and white sided checkers that you flip over to try and claim more property on the board. I really like Othello, but apparently it's originally called Reversi, and here it is. There's the box, there's the everything else. Reversi for Intellivision. And Star Strike, which I actually don't know too much about because there's a million fucking different space games for Intellivision that it's even hard for me to delineate them. But here's the box, and here's the everything else. Actually, the controller inserts for Reversi I actually have somewhere else because I was using them and I forgot to put them back. But rest assured, they were in the box when I bought them. Here is the game and the manual and the controller inserts for Star Strike. Super happy. Oh my god. $1 each. Even the ones with the boxes. $1 each. Oh my god. And we're not done. This is the best thing that I got from the first trip. I would love to save this for last, but we're going to do this in trip 1 and trip 2, just because. I love rare accessories for video game consoles. Love. Absolutely love. Especially when those accessories are add-ons that not many people know about. At Asset Recovery Liquidators, sitting on the shelf, was this IntelliVoice voice synthesis module, complete in the box, for $40. That's really not bad. I've seen it go upwards as high as $80, so it's half price. And it was Saturday, so I got this for $20, complete in the box. The cool thing about this is that, well, there's 2 cool things about it. I'll tell you the first one first. The guy running Asset Recovery Liquidators, or at least the guy who manned the video game portion because he knows that people are in demand, is actually a collector himself, and he helps to organize the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo every August, which, as I make this video, I have just gotten back from yesterday. So, we got into a lot of talking about video game collecting, and I made friends with this dude. His name's Jonathan, and I really like him. He told me he doesn't collect for Intellivision. Otherwise, he would have bought this thing when he started working there. I asked him, when did you start working there? And he said, 8 years ago. This thing has been sitting on their shelves and no one has claimed it for 8 years. That's how little this place is known by collectors. I asked him how often collectors come in, and he said not often. It's not a retail store. They get stuff from people whose houses have foreclosed, or from auctions, or from storage units that have been foreclosed upon, or people can come in and sell their things because they just need to get rid of them, and that's their inventory. So this came from someone's house who couldn't afford to own this anymore, I guess, under some circumstances. or something else of the like. And for 8 years, no one touched this. And the second cool thing is that, despite the fact that the box is super beaten up, and the bubble wrap inside looks a little worse for wear, it comes with all of the instruction manuals, which are all in decent condition. And even though everything else looks a little beaten up and old, the module itself looks brand new. It has not a scuff or scratch on it. In fact, the serial number, which is marked on the cartridge insert with just some sort of permanent ink. This is just ink. It could have been rubbed off over time, like many are. It is still completely there and has not rubbed away at all. It is like the person who owned this never touched it. This sticker is immaculate. These rubber feet are immaculate. There is no dust in this fan. No dust in the speaker. This dial is perfectly analog. This is the volume dial. No corrosion, no yellowing of this gold plate, and there's no scratches on any of the brown plastic surrounding the unit. Even the cartridge port is completely dustless. Whoever owned this thing took shitty care of the box, but they took immaculate care of the unit, I should say. Or maybe they just never used it. I don't know. But yeah, the Intellivision voice synthesis module. Oof. What can I say about this thing? Certain games, by which I mean only a couple, really like 2 or 3 games as far as I know, are compatible with this. By which I mean this thing can only give a benefit to 2 or 3 Intellivision games. You can play any Intellivision game using this. This plugs into the Intellivision, and then the cartridge plugs in here. It's just a pass-through. But if you do use some of those certain games, the IntelliVoice will add digitized voice speech to those games. Actually, I have a video that Jackie took of me testing this thing with one of the games that is compatible with it, Bomb Squad, so I'll play that now.
Okay, go.
Mattel Electronics presents Bomb Squad.
So you can see that it does what it says it does, and also I look terrible in that video. But the important thing is I own this and the box. Oh my god. And now we come to the last thing in the video, which I got on my second trip to Asset Recovery. I went with Joe that time, and I told him about it because they also sell a bunch of tools and IT equipment at incredibly low prices, and that's Joe's basic hobby. That's what he does with most of his time. So he got really happy about that, and we went together, and he picked up a couple things. But I picked up something I had been eyeing the first time I was there, but couldn't afford it. Not because it was expensive, but because I spent all my money on all that other stuff. And this is technically 2 scores in 1. But I'll explain why I'm doing it as one item very shortly, because it'll be obvious. I got the Atari 5200 trackball controller. Forgive the fact that this box is damaged, but I got it in the box. It's complete. And by it's complete, I mean, I'm opening it from the wrong side. That's not what I mean. What I mean by it's complete is I completed it. I already owned the Atari 5200 trackball, but mine was a little damaged and had seen better days. And I decided to just buy this whole thing just as it was, the box and the unit inside. This unit was a little dirty, but I cleaned it up and it's in very good condition now. So you can see the box with the unit inside. I'm not going to take it out, but it's a trackball controller for the Atari 5200. I'm sure I don't have to explain that. But when I bought my first Atari 5200, it came with the manual. So now I have everything all together. I have officially completed this accessory. Yay me. But this is super cool. I have never seen the box for this thing at any convention I've ever been to or at any yard sale, so it's really cool that I was able to pick it up, and they did a deal with me there, actually. It was $45, which is a very good price for this. And I said, considering the damage on the box, would you come down to $40? And they said, sure. And it was Saturday. So they gave it to me for $20 because of the 50% off. So I got this for 20 bucks. And I was able to sell my old trackball controller for 20 bucks. So I got this for free, technically speaking. Very happy. I hope that none of you out there remember the name of the place, which by the way is Asset Recovery Liquidators in Patchogue. Whoops, did I just say that out loud? Honestly, even if a bunch of people did start going there and buying stuff from them, I wouldn't be super unhappy. It's a little hole in the wall, and a lot of the stuff there is dirty and worse for wear. But if you're like me and you put in the time and the effort to clean it up, you can get it to look immaculate. Again, this Game Boy Pocket, like I said, was dirty when I bought it. In fact, there was crud all over it. But you know what? I care a lot about getting a good deal to get what I want in my collection. And if I know that if I put in the effort I can make something very clean, then I will put in that effort. So, you can't even tell that this thing used to be dirty, because I cleaned it that well. And one of these days I'll make a video about how I clean games. Maybe I'll live stream it here, or I'll live stream it on Facebook. We'll see. But now we've reached the end of the video, so it's time to say goodbye. Oh my god, is that a jump cut coming in? Why, yes it is. Thank you so much for watching my video about the stuff that I picked up in June. I hope you're ready for a giant exploration of my collection in July, because I got 82 things in July. Don't worry, I'll go by them as quickly as I can, but yeah. July was hoppin' and poppin' and polka dottin'. That doesn't have P's in the second word, so it doesn't rhyme. It's a slant rhyme. I'll let it pass, mostly because I'm the one doing this, and I'm my own boss when it comes to these videos, so I do what I want, when I want, except for doing these on time. I will have July out incredibly soon, and then we'll move on to August, and we'll finally be caught up again. Thank you for watching. I'm not dead. Things on this channel are still going to be coming out. Don't you worry, I'm finally getting more free time to be able to do the things that I want to do with life. So, let's do them. Take it easy. Have a good summer. I will see you in July.